Hey, what is happening, guys? My name is Johnny. You've tuned into Rules for Rebels, and today we're talking Amazon FBA. So really, I just kind of had a funny story from this past Friday evening that kind of illustrates, I think two important points about Amazon FBA, and those are small, light, easy to manage, and easy to ship items. And number two, Amazon should be a piece of the puzzle, not the puzzle. Amazon should be one fulfillment channel, right? One way to drive sales, but it shouldn't be your entire business. And I see a lot of people trying to build entire businesses on Amazon FBA, and I just don't think that's a good idea. Most people who are having success with private label products in Amazon FBA, they're not just doing Amazon, right? They might have a business to business, like in-person sales that they do. They may be selling on Walmart, Wayfair, House, Jet.com, Overstock, etc., etc., etc. I'm actually working with a couple women who sell a glassware product, and they're all over the place. They're selling in restaurants, they're selling to caterers, they're on Overstock, they're on Amazon, they're in Bed Bath & Beyond. So you really, Amazon can't be your entire business. It really needs to be a piece of the puzzle. But I'm going to share kind of a little story with you that kind of illustrates these points, and I just kind of thought it was funny that my pretty much 6 or 7 hours of my Friday evening were spent moving probably 400 to 600 large boxes of Amazon FBA merchandise. And it's kind of funny, some of you guys sometimes say, like, where am I supposed to store this stuff? Right? I don't have room to store inventory. And to me, it's always been kind of funny because I always kind of focus on small, light, easy to ship items. So, I mean, even though me and my business partner may have thousands and thousands of pieces of inventory in our office, I mean, most of the time, like, it fits on a shelf in the back of the office, right? Like, aside from when I got into hoverboards, which are like 3 feet by 1 foot by 1 foot and weigh about 20-something pounds a piece, aside from when I got into hoverboards, in which case my office was floor to ceiling of hoverboards, everything else I've ever sold, I mean, for the most part, I mean, you could fit thousands of pieces of inventory into into a 2x2 box or a 3x3 box. So it was kind of different to me having to deal with a large, bulky type of inventory. So anyhow, my buddy is an accountant. I think that's kind of an interesting job. You get to kind of see a lot of different people's businesses and kind of dig into the numbers and stuff like that. And occasionally he'll tell me, like, oh man, there's this one business like back in the back roads, and like they don't even manufacture anything. They're buying like rolls of foam. They cut rolls of foam, and that's all they do, and they're making millions of dollars a year. Or he has some other clients who do FBA and stuff like that. So anyhow, he saw that me and my business partner were having success with it. He has some other clients who are doing it. He's definitely a numbers guy. He's pretty entrepreneurial as well. So this was his first stab at Amazon FBA. I think he ordered somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000 worth of inventory, and I've talked about this in videos from a few years past. And at first, I didn't think that was a good, like, your first stab at doing e-commerce, you're going to go that big. And also, he was entering a gated Amazon category, had never sold anything on Amazon, wasn't approved for the category. So it seemed like a lot of risk. It seems like it's going okay for him. He's kind of secretive about it, although he did make a comment to me. He was like, look, he's like, is the money, like, unbelievable, huge, life-changing? No, but he's like, it's very, very passive, and it's enough money that I'm going to continue to do it. So that's kind of all I got out of him in terms of what his numbers are. But anyhow, he just recently moved into beautiful, I think 5,000-6,000 square feet, way bigger than anybody needs. He comes from money. His folks are really successful. His parents have like a big house with an indoor pool and things like that. So he's kind of used to that. But his old house was like probably 3,000, 3,500 square feet. And recently, when I found out they were having a kid, he's like, oh, I can't live in this cracker box, which, I mean, one room in his house is bigger than my entire house. I thought that was kind of funny. But anyhow, moving into this beautiful house, he hired movers to do pretty much all the moving of furniture and everything except for the Amazon FBA boxes. And he had actually just had a large portion of his Amazon FBA inventory shipped back to him because the storage fees in Q4 go up, so Amazon will ship your stuff back to you for free because they want to get it out of the warehouses. So he had it shipped back, didn't cost him anything to have shipped back. He was paying several $100s a month in storage fees, and that was only going to go up Q4. So he had the stuff shipped back. He was kind of in between houses, so the stuff went to his parents' house. We're talking a two-car garage full. I'm not going to say from floor to ceiling, but from wall to wall to wall to wall, and then as high as a person could lift a box, so 7-8 feet. that high of just Amazon FBA boxes that were returned to him. And this kind of annoyed me. I thought this was kind of stupid. He's like, oh man, I don't want those movers to see all this stuff that I have, you know, all this Amazon inventory I have in my house. Now this kid has some nice stuff, right? He has, you know, huge smart TVs, really nice furniture, a beer kegerator. Of all the things a mover may want to steal, the last thing they're going to want to steal is his bedding products from Amazon FBA. So I thought that was kind of silly, but he asked me and a couple of our friends and my girlfriend, you know, like, hey, could you guys help me? Like, I got to move some stuff, shouldn't take more than an hour. So, okay, you know, fine, you help a friend out, right? So we head over to his house Friday evening, and I was surprised to see how much stuff there was. I really didn't expect that much stuff. He had a 25-foot box truck he rented from U-Haul, and we thought it was going to be too big. It was actually wound up being about the perfect size. But unfortunately, his parents live in a neighborhood where there's kind of a curvy street, and you couldn't back the truck into the driveway, and it's kind of a ritzy neighborhood. So there's like a, I don't know, 100, 150 foot long driveway. So we literally had to carry every box from, I mean, it'd be hard enough if you could back the truck right up to the garage and load them up. Every box you had to carry about 150 feet down to the end of the driveway to put in the truck, and then walk all the way back for a new box. These boxes, they were heavy, but they weren't that heavy. It was more bulky, so you could only carry 2 at a time. So I mean, figure 600 boxes divided by, you know, the 3 people we had helping. It was a lot of boxes to carry. And then even once we got the boxes over to his new place, we were able to back into the driveway, but of course his wife didn't want the boxes in the garage. They have like a walk-in basement where you got to walk down this like ravine on the side of the house. So even in order to unload the boxes and put them back in his house, even though the garage was right there and it would have been super easy, we had to carry these 400 to 600 boxes. Anyhow, guys, sorry, I was grabbing my coffee there. So anyhow, we had to carry, you know, hundreds of boxes down this steep ravine on the side of his house, into the walk-in basement, through 2 rooms, and stack them in the back of this room. And what was told to me would be like a 1-hour task wound up, I think we got over there at maybe 7, and I think we finally wrapped up 12:31 in the morning. It's a long night of moving stuff. And again, I thought it kind of illustrated a couple points. I kind of talked about small, light, easy to manage items, and I was kind of joking with him towards the end. I was like, oh, why couldn't you have sold like wine charms, right? Like those little wine charms that go on the bottom of a wine glass. And you know, the reason I was kind of joking about that is because you could literally fit thousands of sets of those wine charms in like a little 1-by-1 box. And of course, he had to sell something bulky. His product's probably maybe 16 inches by 16 inches by maybe 3 or 4 inches thick, and weighs, depending on the size, maybe 2 to 5 pounds per unit. And then you have, you know, multiple units of these in each box. So it was just very bulky, right? I mean, fortunately, he's got a really big house, but I mean, at my house, it would take up more than my garage and my spare bedroom. So he had a lot of stuff, and he never wanted to actually handle the inventory. He had his stuff shipped straight from Amazon, or straight from China, directly into Amazon FBA, but the storage fees were, from what he was telling me, were definitely killing him. He was paying a couple $100 a month just in long-term storage fees, and Q4 that was going to go up even more. So I thought the whole, you know, if you find a good product that's bigger, I mean, it's not a deal breaker, it's not don't sell it, but you know, keep in mind, if you ever do need to get your stuff out before Q4, are you going to have a place to store it? Do you want to deal with taking all that back? The process of actually getting it back seemed fairly painless, right? Like Amazon paid to send it back to him because it was so much stuff. It didn't show up in a UPS truck, right? It came on like a semi-truck or whatever with a loading gate, and the guy delivered, they were on pallets, the guy delivers it and just wheels it into his parents' garage. That was painless enough. But after we had to move all this stuff, then bring it down into his basement, when he needs to send his stuff all back to Amazon FBA, he's not going to be able to call for a regular FedEx pickup. He's going to have to hire a trucking company. He's going to have to get a pallet and pallet wrap. He's going to have to carry hundreds of boxes back up to his garage, wrap the pallet, have the trucking company pick it up. In my experience, the trucking companies always steal, or there's always quote-unquote loss with those types of shipments. So he's probably going to lose some of it going back to FBA. So, you know, just something to kind of think about. But the bigger message, I asked him kind of how his FBA sales were doing, and he said, you know, they're okay, they're doing well. I'm slowly building the product up. But the majority of I shouldn't say the majority of his business, but he's doing a lot of business through Amazon, Wayfair, and House. So, I mean, that's also kind of part of his play. But even more so than that, he's actually selling this product to some different hotels. I don't know if it's Motel 6 or Holiday Inn or whatever else, but he's moving, you know, 300, 400, 500, 600 units at a time all in one shot to a hotel or a nursing home or a senior care center. And he's actually using Amazon FBA for the shipment, right? The multi-channel fulfillment. So he's not actually having to handle the shipment. Amazon will send that out for him, but he does get to avoid some of the Amazon final value fees. He's obviously paying a fee to have that fulfilled. And he's in kind of a unique position, right? Because he's an accountant, he already has relationships with a lot of business owners. And even more so, for anybody who doesn't know about business, like with a lot of businesses, a certain department may be under budget at the end of the year. This is especially true of like government and stuff like that. So if there's some department of a business and they were budgeted $10,000 for office expenses or bedding or whatever else, and they've only spent $8,000, at the end of the year they want to spend an extra $2,000, because what generally winds up happening is if you have a budget of 10, you only spend 8. The next year around, you're budgeted 8 because the company or the government or whatever says, well, look, they don't need $10,000 to run this business. They only spent $8,000 this year, so we'll give them $8,000. So basically, people spend money for things that they don't need, because otherwise they're going to lose that budget the next year. Now, fortunately for him, it's not like a food product that's going to go bad. There's no shelf life on what he sells, so I guess there's really no harm in, okay, we might as well spend this year's over budget on this product, and even if we don't use it for 2 or 3 years, it's still going to be perfectly good, and we got to spend the rest of our budget. So fortunately, he does have it in with a lot of businesses. If at the end of the year, because he kind of helps them with their tax planning and budgeting and everything else, so at the end of the year, if he realizes they need to spend some money in order to get a drop into a lower tax bracket, or if there's a certain department that needs to spend money so that they can get the same budget allocated next year, he can recommend, and he also has a company that can sell them a product. So he's in kind of a unique position, but nonetheless, I think it's really important. I think a lot of people, when they get into, sorry, trying to make my coffee here. A lot of people, when they get into Amazon FBA, I think the last thing that they think is, I'm going to be calling up hotels trying to sell them my soap dispenser or my plunger or whatever else it might be, right? People are like, well, okay, I'm going to send it into Amazon FBA, and my hands are off of it after that, and then they think that's kind of the beauty of it. And well, it is really true. Again, Amazon is only a piece of the puzzle. You're not going to survive if you're relying solely on Amazon. So whether that means you have to get on other platforms like Walmart, Wayfair, House, Overstock, among others, whether that means you have to do that, whether not every product's going to lend itself to selling business to business. And if you're selling phone chargers or something, actually, I take that back. Even if you're selling phone chargers, you could contact one of these phone repair stores or a cell phone store that needs accessories, and they probably are importing themselves, but it never hurts to check around and see. When I was doing hoverboards, or I guess more specifically hoverboard parts, I was selling parts, hoverboard parts, to a lot of the cell phone repair shops that were also fixing like drones and hoverboards and things like that. So don't forget about business to business, face to face sales. Don't be afraid to reach out to local businesses and try to sell them your products. And I think that's one reason that my buddy's business has been more successful than it would have otherwise been. If he was solely relying on Amazon, I think he'd be sitting on a lot more inventory. I don't think he'd be making as much money, and he may not even move forward with the business. He may be like, okay, I'm gonna let the rest of this inventory sell out and call it a day. But because he's getting these sales off Amazon FBA and off Amazon, where he's not paying final value fees, and where he's got customers who are going to continue to need to order these products in the future, he's built a nice little business for himself. So anyhow, that was kind of a little bit of a fun story about my Friday evening and what I spent doing, and I thought it kind of illustrated a couple points about Amazon FBA, so thought we'd make a quick video. I had Young from Merch Minds on the Merch Minds podcast on the show yesterday. We talked about his new typography book. If you guys didn't catch that one, it's my next most, if you go to my video feed, it's the next most recent video before this one. So feel free to check that out. And I think I got a couple more videos coming out this week. So stay tuned, thumbs up, share if you enjoyed it. Hit that subscribe button down below if you are not subscribed, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.